This shiur that will relate to Inyani Chanuka is dedicated to Ilu Nishmas Rachaleya Bas Rab Chaim Tzvi. When one examines the Yom Tov of Chanuka, and specifically when one looks at the references to Chanuka, which of course are the Braisa and the Gemara and Shabbos, and also the language of the Rambam at the beginning of Perek Gimel, Hilchos Chanuka, and finally, when one examines the language of Al Hanisim, so there are obviously two major miracles that relate to Chanuka. One, of course, is the Nes of the Pach HaShemen, the Pach HaShemen which is mentioned by the Gemara, by the Braisa, Masechah Shabbos. The Gemara points out that during this period of time, when they entered the Beis Hamikdash, and they did not found, except for they found one Pach HaShemen, Hamunach b'Chaisam Shekohen Gadol, and of course it was destined to last for one day, and it lasted instead for a period of 8 days. And they were able to be Madlik Mimenu Neras HaMaracha for 8 days, and that of course constitutes the great Nes, the great miracle of the Yom Tov of Chanuka. So certainly, one Nes is obviously the Nes of the Pach Shemen, and the Pach Shemen as well is mentioned not just by Chazal in the context of the Gemara, but the Rambam also mentions it in Perek Gimel of Hilchos Chanuka Halacha Beis. The Rambam writes, and you have the language of the Rambam in front of you, Ushigavu Yisrael al Oveim v'ibdum, when Klal Yisrael succeeded in defeating their enemies and destroying them. The Rambam says, B'chafei b'chodesh Kislev haya. It was in the 25th of the month of Kislev. V'nichnasu laheichal, they entered the heichal of the Beis Hamikdash. V'lamatzu shemen Torah b'mikdash al apach echad. They only found one cruse, one flask of oil in the Beis Hamikdash. It only had the capacity to be lit for one day. The Rambam says they were able, with the Yad Hashem and the element of Nes that was involved, to light the neros of the Maracha for 8 days, till they were able to crush once again olives and produce Shemen Tahor, pure olive oil. And as a result, the Rambam says in Halacha Gimel, Chazal of that generation were masaking sheyushmeinas yamim ha'elu, that these 8 days shetchilasam chafei b'Kislev, that begin with the 25th of Kislev, should be Yemei Simcha v'Halel. It's also striking here that the Rambam used the lashon of Yemei Simcha v'Halel. In general, when we speak of Simcha, Simcha is associated with Yom Tovim, with Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, where the Torah says B'samachta v'chagecha, and the Gemara tells us how to fulfill the mitzvah of Simcha. The Gemara says, Ein Simcha ela b'basa v'yayin. The Gemara comments that one is obligated to fulfill the mitzvah of Simcha, to purchase beautiful clothing for one's wife, which happens to be a mitzvah min Torah, in fulfillment of this din of Samachta v'chagecha, and for children, l'chalik, to give them egozim, nuts, and what have you. But here the Rambam speaks of Chanukah as also having an element of Simcha. And generally, often it's interpreted, you may Simcha v'halal, the ramifications of this Simcha are that there's an Isa Hesper B'tainis. The Shulchan Aruch writes in Hilchos Chanukah that one is not permitted to be maspid, there's an Isa of eulogizing on Chanukah, one is not permitted to fast on Chanukah. It's true, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, the Gemara speaks about the days before Chanukah, the days before Purim, the days after Chanukah, the days after Purim, what's known as the days listed in Megillas Tainis, Yom Lifneim Lachareim. However, in Chanukah itself, in Purim itself, there's an Isur of Hesped B'Tainis. From where does the Isur of Hesped B'Tainis emerge? From where does it come? And the answer, of course, is it comes because the Rambam here speaks of Yemei Simcha v'Halel, days of Simcha which automatically preclude the possibility of Tainis, the possibility of Hesped. It's interesting that there is a comment already that's found in the Seder Hayom, which the Mishnah Berurah often quotes, one of the early Kadmonim, And it's already mentioned as well in the Sefer Zeh HaShulchan by Shrai Dablitsky, and other Achronim will speak about this, that on Chanuka, one should not engage in any kind of conversation that will lead to etzev, that will lead to sorrow, to melancholia, that will lead to tsar. You have a similar halacha in Hilchos Shabbos and Siman Shin Zayin, where there the Mishnah Berurah mentions this concept that when a person speaks on Shabbos, one should speak, of course, obviously the Torah, and one should not, in any way, one should not be maskir things that might gender and generate tsar. And there we understand the halacha in Hilchos Shabbos, because Chazal tell us Shabbos la'onik nikta v'lo l'tzar. Shabbos was given for the purpose of onik Shabbos and not for the purpose of tsar. There's an element of onik on Shabbos. Lav davka simcha, because most poskim assume there is no mitzvah of simcha on Shabbos. The Mishnah writes already